number one with Wes the Sports Guy here on YouTube and online all the time at westhesportsguy.com. Make sure you bookmark that site to get all the social media links at westhesportsguy.com. Also with other video sites, including BitChute. I am there. Go subscribe, hit that bell over at that video site at BitChute. Same username, Wes the Sports Guy, as it is here on YouTube. Use that hashtag #OneOnOneWes when participating in the weekly conversation on sports on social media. Getting right into it, it is time for the NFL Game of the Week.
You play to win the game, but they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
Cannot play with them. Cannot win with them. Cannot coach with them. Can't do it.
This week's matchup is going to be between division rivals in the AFC West, as we have the Kansas City Chiefs going to Las Vegas to play the Las Vegas Raiders. It is a rematch of what happened not too long ago in the season with the Kansas City Chiefs at the time undefeated, playing at home against the Las Vegas Raiders, and they were, I wouldn't say thoroughly defeated, but they were pretty convincingly defeated by the Las Vegas Raiders in the kind of fashion that you would expect the Chiefs to eventually lose a game, which that's been their only loss so far this season, in which the Raiders dominated on the running game with Josh Jacobs, and now they also have another capable backup in Devontae Booker, who used to play for the Denver Broncos at the beginning of his career. He's starting to pick up play as of late, but it's mainly Josh Jacobs and that offensive line, which is among the best in the league, going up against the Kansas City Chiefs defense that is good for the most part. Overall, it's a very good defense. They do have some times when they don't play up to the potential, but the problem that's been happening lately with the Kansas City Chiefs, even though they've been winning games, is that their offense is becoming a little too passive, and I use that with absolute pun intended. They pass the ball quite a bit, not running the ball with any effectiveness now that they have Le'Veon Bell added to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, their rookie first-round draft pick. They need to run the ball more consistently, not just for Patrick Mahomes' sake. He's good. He's going to be most likely an MVP candidate, top 3 at least in the voting. He could be the MVP by the end of the year, depending on how this season finishes out for the Chiefs. But they have to run the ball to get that balance and also to give the defense the chance to take and, catch their breath. The Las Vegas Raiders are going to do that, and you know it going into this. That's how John Gruden wants to control the offense, keep his defense fresh, because they will have to be against a very high-powered Kansas City Chiefs offense. This game's going to be in prime time on NBC after 5 o'clock my time on the Pacific, 8 o'clock in the Eastern time zone. The rest, you can figure that out if you already live in those areas. But it's going to be the primetime game, and it's rightfully so. This game was pegged to be the primetime game this week from the beginning, before the season even started. Usually when you look at a matchup like this, you think it's going to get flexed. It's going to be discarded. We know what's going to happen to it eventually. That's not the case this year. The Raiders are a playoff contender. The Kansas City Chiefs, we know they're the defending Super Bowl champs. Are they going to get back to the Super Bowl this year? A lot of question marks with the Chiefs on the running game aspect of it, and if the defense can stay fresh. But with the Raiders, if they can sweep their division rivals and continue a pretty good winning streak to end the season, let's say in a tiebreaker, they have it. They swept the Kansas City Chiefs. They become the division winners. This is a very important game, being at this point in the season where every game is important, but this one especially, between two arch rivals going at it in prime time. Good matchup. Can't wait to see it, and I know you can't wait to see it either. Time for the segment that does not listen to a single politician when it comes to them dictating what you should do with your Thanksgiving plans. Do you remember?
You remember?
Do you remember Theo Epstein being the general manager, president of baseball operations, one of those kinds of titles, for the Boston Red Sox in their heyday when they broke their curse of the Bambino, the curse of Babe Ruth in 2004 and 2007, winning World Series in those years respectively? Theo Epstein was at the helm of that front office for the Boston Red Sox, and then it came crashing down pretty soon thereafter. Although Theo Epstein did leave while the getting was good, took some time off, and then reemerged as the GM and president of baseball operations for the Chicago Cubs, thus eventually ending their curse in the 2016 season, winning a World Series for the first time in 108 years, upping what the curse of Babe Ruth was with Boston. Well, long story short, Theo Epstein has done the same thing again. He's decided to leave the Chicago Cubs, letting it all go and basically saying, which I give him credit for this at least. Him, and I'm not quoting verbatim, but he basically said that the decisions that are going to have to be made long term, it's best for somebody else to make those decisions that's actually going to stick around and be with the team while it happens, rather than him being out the door, let's say, another year or two, and he makes the decisions that the Cubs are going to need to make this offseason and definitely the next one, because a lot of their guys that they had up and coming in the minor league system, I should say, that were prospects, established players right now in Major League Baseball, they're going to be free agents in another year or so. You're going to have to decide who you want to keep, who you're going to trade, or you're going to decide to implode the whole thing and start fresh again. Somebody else has to decide that. So I give Epstein credit in that aspect. Why am I bringing up Theo Epstein right now? Is it to he preys upon him and say, oh, this is going to be a sad day not having a guy like this in Major League Baseball? No, it's not going to be anything like that. No disrespect to the guy. I respect him absolutely. He's going to be a Hall of Fame general manager, front office executive at some point. He broke two of the longest, most famous curses in baseball lore. He's definitely at the forefront of that. I don't take anything away from him from that aspect of it. But I will say this about Theo Epstein. He's not as good as you think he might be. And I'm basing this solely on my own opinion. But based off of the track record, yes, he had established players with the Red Sox. They already had Manny Ramirez. They had Pedro Martinez. They went after and got Curt Schilling. Theo Epstein steps in and then brings in a guy like David Ortiz, a few other pieces here and there. You had established guys already. Kevin Youkilis was another guy that came along at the end. Jason Varitek was already there forever as a captain catcher of the Boston Red Sox. You had established guys already there. You brought in some pieces to fill in the holes here and there. It was a good run. The Red Sox won 2 World Series out of it. What happened afterwards? Well, Boston wanted to keep that goodness going, and then it just started to implode on itself. Manny Ramirez eventually got traded. You went out and signed big free agents in Adrian Gonzalez and Carl Crawford, and that blew up in your face at that point in time. So he got out while the getting was good. But of course, that's also, you could put a lot of the blame on ownership at the time, but Epstein still was at the helm of some of that. Not all of it, because like I said, he jumped ship before it got really bad in Boston. Same thing was about to happen here in Chicago. Joe Madden was let go just the last offseason before, at the end of 2019. No longer the manager. He led that team to the World Series in 2016. You brought him in to manage that club specifically for that reason, to win the World Series. It happened. Then you got him out. Now it was all on you. Do you want the spotlight to be on you if you're Theo Epstein at this point? No. I don't think he's a guy that wants that, even though he has been in charge of 2 of the most prominent franchises in baseball history. Now, I'm not saying that he's a coward for cutting loose and getting out while the getting is good to save face for himself. I'm not suggesting that at all. If you want to, leave a comment below on this video. But I will say one thing about Theo Epstein is that he's not all it's cracked up to be. Just from an outside observer, from my perspective, I like to have a guy that goes in it for the long haul, gets through the good times, the bad times, and then brings the good times back again. You want to go through those types of cycles where a guy's around for about 10, 15 years. I know that's a rare thing in sports these days. But a guy like Theo Epstein, being as young as he is, still relatively young for the track record that he has and what he's done so far, you know he's going to come back. He's going to come back. He's going to wait for the right opportunity to do the same thing again to a franchise. It could be a franchise that's been desperate to get a World Series title. Let's say, I don't know, the Mets. That's one franchise, but that's not going to happen this time. Everybody was scrambling thinking it was going to be the Mets. Now that they left the Cubs, it's not going to happen. He's going to take a year off, it sounds like. But where is he going to come and emerge himself back into it? Is he going to go to a franchise with not as much scrutiny, not as much of the spotlight on him? Or is he going to go do the same thing again like he did with Boston and the Cubs? Time will tell. He's definitely going to be a Hall of Famer. There's no doubt about that. I have the respect for a guy that does it the way he did it, and especially the way he did it with the Cubs. I didn't think that curse would ever be broken in my lifetime, and it did. Again, 108 years. This guy definitely was at the forefront of that. But he's not always cracked up to be. He's not sticking in for the long haul, which you do in this day and age in sports, any sport for that matter. You can't have long-term success consistently without doing a little bit of either a reboot or a full-on, let's start over again and build this thing back up. Epstein's not that guy. I lose a little bit of respect for him in that regard. But that's not to say he isn't well-deserved of all the accolades that's coming to him. But I just feel he's getting a little too much credit for deciding to say, yeah, I'm going to go away now. Things aren't going to look so great here. Time for my feel-good story of the week, and it's basically just to say I wish you a happy Thanksgiving. Do not let a governor, a mayor, a city council, whatever type of politician, health director, whatever the case may be, they do not dictate what you do with your own Thanksgiving celebration. You do what works for you. If you want to stay by yourself, that's fine. If you want to be with your family, that's fine. It's called personal choice. You choose what's best for you, what works for you, what is most comfortable for you. You have the power to make a decision for yourself, and only you have that power. So again, I wish you a happy Thanksgiving. Celebrate with loved ones, as many as you want. You do what's best for you. That's all I'm going to say. Happy Thanksgiving. Make sure you bookmark westonsportsguy.com. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, hit that bell below on the video, leave a comment, leave a like, leave a dislike too. I welcome all. Make sure you follow me on all the social media links at westonsportsguy.com. Use that hashtag #OneOnOneWes. I will see you next time.